Hello, everyone, and welcome to my show, Conversation with Priya. I'm your host, Priya Mishra, and today is our very special guest, Emma Barber. Emma Barber is the part owner and managing director of DGRADE, Dubai, UAE. In 2018, Emma left retail fashion to join DGRADE as part of owner and managing director, where she is responsible for strategic management and growth of the company, as well as overseeing the day-to-day running of DGRADE. Her role at DGRADE enables her to make a direct impact on sustainability in UAE by overseeing the delivery of sustainable product made from recycled plastic bottle and the Simply Bottle recycling initiatives. Emma has more than 30 years of experience in retail fashion industry, managing teams and developing commercial clothing ranges for traditional and online sales. Her expertise includes management, relationship with internal and external partner, and suppliers to maximize opportunity and efficiencies. As the official spokesperson for DGRADE, Emma promotes the benefits of plastic, believing that plastic itself is not an issue. It is the human behavior that causes the environmental issue we see today. Her goal is to make a difference in a green industry and striving to create a better environment. So let us help her and welcome her to hear her side of the story and her point of view, how the plastic should be handled and how her business is actually contributing towards the environment. So thank you so much for joining in, audience. Let's welcome Emma Barber. Hi, Emma. Thank you for joining in and accepting my request. It was very sudden.
No problem. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And I understand there was a time difference. You are in Dubai, right? So
I am in Dubai, yes. So you are very kindly, it's now 9 o'clock in the morning, so it's perfect.
Yeah, great. And for us, it's like almost middle of the day, 3 p.m. here. So it's good. So thank you for accepting all that request. And I'm really personally thanking you for working towards more sustainability. I always talk about green project and all those things. So it's a very close to my heart. I would like to know how this whole journey started,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No problem. Well, it was actually started by my husband in 2010. Chris has a background in conventional manufacturing. So he was always working with with clothing and retailers. And about 10, 12 years ago, he decided that actually there's so much plastic pollution and there's so much demand for polyester. Why not make the polyester from the plastic? And so he made a switch and he decided very quickly just purely to focus on recycled fabrics. And again, about 10 years ago, that was quite an unusual decision, and not many companies were really looking for recycled products.
Yeah.
It's very different from today, where a lot of people want sustainable products. Back in those days, not so much. But he made the decision to do that. And I was also working in retail, and in 2017, I decided to come and join his company. So I've been working there ever since, and we really are just very much about raising awareness for what recycled polyester can do, what a great product it is, and how green it is to do it.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, this is another aspect of recycling, which not many people will think. I mean, awareness is getting there, like people are talking about it now, especially nowadays. But Of course, it was not back in there, but creating something out of it and making it so available to the general public, it's really amazing, isn't it? So how is the response from the public? How is the consumer's response on it?
Yeah, I mean, look, what we do isn't particularly unique to DGRADE. I mean, companies have been doing recycled polyester and still do it. So, if you go into one of your favorite sports brand stores, you can pick up a T-shirt made from recycled polyester. And the consumers often don't even know because the product is identical. We often test people, go and have a look in your wardrobe if you've got anything recycled. And they're amazed when they find they have a recycled T-shirt. So the consumer response in that way is that actually, wow, the product is so. I thought it would feel different. I thought it would feel cheaper or different, and actually it feels exactly the same. So the consumer response, but when they do know, they love it. What we're finding is that there's a huge demand, a huge global demand for polyester, and it's just growing all the time. And we can't continue to meet it through conventional ways. So we do have to try and put pressure on companies to think about switching their procurement decisions. And they're very open to it. I mean, the market is, the global market for polyester is a $100 billion market. It's massive.
Right.
You know, that we are making a product that's identical in every way to conventional manufacturing. So why not recycle it?
Right. And I think you are wearing one of those right now.
I am actually. This is a basic white T-shirt with a print on it. We work with Expo and the Expo Dubai 2020, and this is some of the Expo product. But you can see it just looks and then behaves. It takes a print very well. It's exactly the same as a normal T-shirt.
Great. So we have an example. It has the comfort, it has the design. You can choose the logo and all, and it could be a very good brand creation process. People who are working towards brand. Yeah. I
mean, like I say, a lot of the high street brands, a lot of fashion brands are making sustainable procurement decisions, and they're offering conscious collections or eco collections to their customers. What we do is something slightly different. We're offering companies the opportunity to buy their uniforms or their workwear or their team kits, or if they're doing team days, accessories. Things like masks. Been enormous for us. We're offering a company that wants to buy product or needs to buy product, but doesn't know how to get them sustainably. We're giving them that choice. And they've been very open to it. Many companies, they want the sustainable option because they can share that message with their stakeholders, their customers, consumers. Yeah. They can tell them they're really doing something tangible to try and end the plastic waste.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to the awareness, right? The more awareness it will be, the consumer demand and demand and supply will increase. But how was it initially, and how is it now in terms of market share and acceptability?
Yeah, look, it's still very small. Out of the 100% that is demand for polyester, I would say it's probably less than 6% is the recycled, recycled part. And our intention is obviously to grow that. We would love to see, polyester just always being made from recycled PET, because, as I alluded to before, the process is very green. Mm-hmm. When you compare recycled PET to conventional polyester manufacture, our process uses 20% less water, mm-hmm. 50% less energy, right, and 55% fewer carbon emissions. Wow. So, and we also use no oil, because the oil has already been made into the bottle. So we can conserve finite resources like oil, and conserve limited resources like water. To give you an example, to grow cotton is a very land and water intensive crop. Right. People are talking a lot about growing organic cotton, but actually it's very, very water intensive to do that. Yeah. Whereas to recycle polyester is green, it's easy, it keeps the life of the plastic going indefinitely, and you can recycle the clothing or downcycle the clothing again. So it's a great circular economy.
Yeah, interesting. And ultimately you are saving the environment anyway. So in all sense, you have laid down all the 4 elements. When you say that plastics are not to blame, rather it is in the human behavior, what is it that you are trying to convey?
Well, there's a couple of things around that. So what I think you've got to understand is that plastic has transformed our lives. It was designed to actually meet a solution, because at the time people were using glass, paper and aluminium, and those packaging solutions are actually very, not very sustainable and not very good for the environment. So plastic was designed as a solution to some of those problems. And so many things we take for granted today would be impossible without plastic. Just think about the car we drive, the planes we fly in, the computers we use, the telephones, they're all made from plastic or have a huge plastic content. And plastic reduces our carbon footprint. So what I often say to people is, if you changed all the plastic bottles to glass bottles, you wouldn't have to worry about plastic pollution, because, the climate change would be upon us, because glass is so much heavier and has such a heavy carbon footprint compared to plastic. So plastic is, is good in so many ways that go unnoticed and unreported. And all we have to do is just value plastic and recycle it and don't litter it. We have to try and make people realize that plastic has a value, that it's not just a waste that can be thrown away, waste product can be thrown away. Yeah. And I think the second thing, about when I say plastic's not to blame, it's human behavior. If people really were truly concerned about plastic litter, they would make the effort to recycle it. Yeah. People can't be bothered to walk to the right bin. There's a lot of cynicism, it probably won't be recycled. It probably, why should I bother? But we quite often give this example. You don't see banknotes littering the streets and the oceans and the deserts, because and banknotes are made of plastic, and because they have a value, people don't throw them away. They want to keep hold of them. If plastic really truly had a value that people could tangibly see, then they wouldn't throw it away. And we want to show people that plastic does have a value. It can be turned into useful and valuable items that are, important and necessary.
Yeah. It's all about having the understanding and getting that perspective of it. Do you think that at the downstream stage of refining, you should look at for more value-added products than just plastic, or should we take a sustainable approach to use of the plastic?
Well, I mean, look, there's a lot of work being done sort of at the downstream end of the plastic make. I mean, one common myth about plastic is that it doesn't degrade. Well, actually, scientific studies, when they look at the degradation of plastic, actually shows that it does degrade quite quickly. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you leave a plastic bag out, just a regular shopping bag, it will degrade in less than a year, which is quicker actually than or in the same sort of time period as an orange peel, which takes about 6 months to degrade. So what scientists can do at the early stages, the downstream, is they can actually add additives to the plastic, which makes it last longer. Because what you don't want to do is go outside to sit on your garden furniture, and every time you sit down for your chair to collapse because it's degraded in the sun. So what they're doing is they're looking at ways with certain plastic that can actually give it long life, that make it last a long time, and make sure that it's fit for purpose. And I think the other thing that people are talking about, the downstream is, rather than actually go down the conventional plastic, is to use things like PLAs, which is polylactic acid, which is using cornstarch or sugarcane. And what we find with this is that those PLA plastics don't properly degrade and are very difficult when you get them into the recycling stream, because they kind of clog up traditional recycling. So if we get PLA plastic bottles in with our PET, when they go through our machinery, they clog up the machinery, they damage the machinery. So actually a lot of companies around the world are actually starting to ban biodegradables or oxydegradables or PLA plastics. So I think, we have to be very careful when we're talking about what's happening downstream, and make sure that actually we're just focusing on, let's just make the plastic, the PET particularly, like quite generic, put it into lots of products, because it's the more products it's in, that means the more plastic there is of that particular type of plastic. Then it's very, very easy to collect it and recycle it. And pretty much all plastic can be recycled, but if we narrow it down into just a few plastics, then it's just much easier for the machinery.
So it's like also awareness about which plastic is actually more recyclable. We should actually use those one as much as possible in creating the product. And of course, please don't throw out there, like, how to recycle. If you're buying a plastic, you should know how to recycle it. Otherwise, and the end consumer should not think of buying plastic unless they know how to recycle it. Isn't it?
Well, I think that's absolutely key, Priya. I mean, we're absolutely not advocating the use of more plastic and that everything should be turned to plastic. Of course not. But that every plastic has a little triangle on it with a number. The PET is the number 1. HDPE, which is the lid of a bottle, is number 2, or a milk bottle. And you're right; those plastics can easily be recycled. HDPE, the lid or the milk bottle, that could just be made into new plastic items. We've done some work recently with before pre-COVID, when we were doing a lot of events. Right. We were working with event companies to try and make them do all the cups that they were using for the beverages, to make sure that they were actually PET cups and not PP or polystyrene. The polystyrene cups are very difficult to recycle.
Right.
Where if you just to switch the plastic to PET, then we can come in, we can clear all the plastic from the event and recycle it very, very easily. So yeah, people should be aware, and they can easily put pressure on the manufacturers of the products that they're buying to make them switch to plastics that are very easy to recycle. The hardest ones to recycle are things like polystyrene, and then also things like multi-layer plastics, and that happens a lot with things like Tetra Pak, which is very difficult to recycle.
Very, very, very insight information you have given. Not many people are aware about it, but having that awareness on both sides, being a manufacturer, meaning being a consumer, both sides will actually change the whole perspective and the outcome we are getting through this plastic, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And you know what, again, not to go back to, to make it's reduce, refuse, reuse, and then recycle. There's lots of options that you can have. There's lots of choices that consumers can make, but people have to take a little bit of personal responsibility. You can't buy something and throw it away. Where is away? There is no away. Away is, the beach, the ocean. You've got to make sure you're putting it into the right bin. And I know in Australia you have a fantastic network of reverse vending machines where people can actually put the plastic back into the machine and get some vouchers or tokens. And people should be doing that and be rewarded for it.
Yeah, the more and more recycling booths are actually opening up in Australia, which is really good. We are getting on a lot of on the park side where kids come and play and all those things, which is really seeing it. These changes really, really great for us. Yeah. But it's not the developed country is. Of course, we are all developed countries also contributing. I'm not saying they are not doing anything, but the more developing country has required more awareness. Lack of knowledge is the biggest problem, no matter which country. So few countries like Australia has that awareness, and they are actually spreading. In schools, they are teaching it properly, which has become a school. My kids knows how to recycle, which one should go. Even if we are actually throwing a cane, suppose puree cane or something, we have to wash it and put it because our kids
100%.
wanted us. And mom, you can't just drop it. You have to clean it, then you put it for recycling.
Well, I think that's the key. I think that, teaching the children is what we have to do. We have a program here in the Middle East, in Dubai, called Simply Bottles, where we go into schools and we teach the children about recycling. But the power of pester power, we call it, where the kids pester their parents to do the right thing. It's crucial. It's key, and we're leaving the future to them. We'll be there. They'll inherit the earth, and they have to make sure that we're leaving it in a way that is livable for them. So it's important that they're aware, for sure.
Yeah, we should definitely think about our grandchildren rather than us or my children. I would rather say think about what future you are leaving for your grandchildren, where they are going to live, what element you are leaving,
Yeah, and I think that it's important to say as well, during COVID, there's been a lot of anxiety, and children have been feeling very worried and very scared about the future. And what we've tried to do with our Simply Bottles program is give them some control. We've told them, look, you can't control everything, but what you can do is you control small parts of your own environment. So if you start recycling, it's taking action. It's your control. You're doing something positive. And what we found is this has been a message that's actually helped to relieve some anxiety with some children, because they feel that they can actually take back a bit of control. That's to do something positive is the best possible medicine, I think.
Yeah, and when you do something positive, it gives you a fulfillment, and the human is actually built for that, isn't it?
Yes.
It's kind of fulfillment you are always seeking. You are not unsatisfied in your job because you're not getting that fulfillment in your job. That's why you quit the job,
And I think the good thing about the recycling at the schools is the kids will be able to do this individually, but it's also quite a team activity. So we reward the schools that collect the most plastic. And as a school, they can come together, or as a class or as a year group, they can come together and they can do something that's not only they're doing themselves, but they're doing as a team, and they can feel great about they can feel proud about their school. They can feel proud about their house group or their year group. And that has been testimonies and the feedback we've had has just been overwhelming.
Yeah. Rewarding is ultimate goal, right? Isn't it? This changing, it changes the whole perspective of people, how you're gonna do it and react it, like whether it is younger or older, but especially younger, it works wonders in that, Are you moving on to the other geographies to market your product, or if so, which are they and why?
Okay. Well, we're based in Dubai. We're a very UAE focused business. I mean, it's a huge investment that we've made here. And I suppose because we've put it's a huge investment in money to build the plant. We have a manufacturing plant in Abu Dhabi, but also we've put in a huge amount of time. We have our team here. So the commitment we've made to the UAE is really mean that we want to grow our business domestically. I mean, there's a lot of plastic here in the UAE. Per capita, the UAE has one of the highest consumption rates of plastic bottles in the world. I think they're the 4th highest per capita. It's huge. So there's a lot of focus to be done in the UAE, and we absolutely want to expand, but it has to be the sort of latter part of our business plan. We can't expand internationally in the short term, but our business is definitely scalable for sure. Absolutely. Once we're up and running properly here. And of course, our products can be supplied anywhere in the world. We already do supply uniforms and merchandise to companies based in Australia. We've worked with a lot of companies in Australia, also in the US, in Europe, and in Asia. So of course, product can go anywhere. But in terms of the actual manufacturing plants, right now, we're very UAE focused.
Right. So you're keeping your manufacturing in UAE, but you are actually transforming the business toward all over the world, wherever it is.
Absolutely. That's exactly right.
So it's a two side of it. So, but having said that, I know that, country like India, they are also trying to do a lot using that, plastic bags and all. They are actually creating road out of it. Recently I watched a video. There was a lady who was actually creating leather with the coconut leaf and coconut stuff, like the hard side of it. So amazing changes is happening in the different part of the world. People are coming with the new innovative ideas. And if the company like yours can actually create something, some program or something, awareness program in those countries, might be helpful for both sides. Like country like India, country like Indonesia is also struggling a lot of, they are.
I know. I know, and the Philippines. We are aware. I did meet a senior minister at the Philippines at a UN convention that I went to, and we were talking a lot about how they can improve their waste management in the Philippines. And he quite rightly said to me, they have so many other pressing concerns there. Child poverty. People. The health of the country, people, being, there's a lot of other things that take up government resources and time. And waste management, of course, it's super important, but of course, you've got to stop your population from dying young or from, not having access to fresh water. And I'm not just talking about the Philippines. I'm talking about slightly more, developing countries, third world countries. But, so it's not always the number one priority to get the waste management in order when you've got other pressing concerns. But of course, these governments, they know how important it is, and they're working hard to try and do as much as they possibly can. And if anything that we can do to help. So, for example, our Simply Bottled Schools program, we're more than happy to share some of those resources, some of the collateral we use, some of the information for schools that want to, run something within their school. We can always do a train the trainers seminar. We're working with Educate Global, who are working in 450 countries around the world. So, we definitely have tie-ups with educational programs that schools can use, and we're really happy to help out.
Thank you. So that comes to my last question. How do you cultivate green techniques and production vis-a-vis plastic? How do you see the future?
Well, I think, as I mentioned, our process is a very green process. So, if we could switch conventional polyester manufacturing to recycled polyester manufacturing, then that would really help in terms of just reducing the amount of water, reducing the amount of energy, carbon emissions, and using up oil. So that would be a really great first step. And as I said, rPET or recycled polyester works in exactly the same way. The product's the same. So it just doesn't make sense to keep manufacturing brand new polyester all the time. There's just no need for it. And that would be, I suppose, the number one thing. But I think people have to realize that plastic was designed to meet the need for a more sustainable packaging product to replace glass and paper. And in 99% of cases, plastic is always the greenest option. It's low carbon footprint because it's so light, but it's also safe and hygienic. Whereas when glass, if it shatters, it can be very dangerous. That just doesn't, you don't get that with plastic. So it's very safe to use. And there's a lot of positives about plastic. It's so easy to recycle it. And unlike, some of the other packaging options I just talked about, which aren't. So I think, there's a lot of talk about green practice and sustainability. Companies have to really walk the talk. They have to put their money where their mouth is. They have to really believe in a circular economy. And we can't do it without the support of our partners. So we need people to buy our product. I mean, part of being sustainable is making a profit. We want to be able to pay our staff. We want to be able to generate more work, more employment. We want to be able to pay our rent. We want to be able to build more manufacturing plants. And that we need money. We need to generate money to do that. So in order to generate money, we need people to make sustainable procurement choices when they're buying their products. And so we're all in it together. That's all I can say. DGRADE cannot do it on our own.
Yeah, people need to join hands to make a change. Actual change will only happen when the multiple hands are joining together.
And I'd like to say one more thing, consumers do know greenwashing when they see it. They know when companies are giving it all the talk, pretending to do something when they're not really doing it. They're putting a greenwash on it. They're more and more, especially millennials and Gen Zs, they're looking for companies that really do have true green pillars supporting their business. And they're switching their procurement and their buying decisions to companies that really do have green practices. So I say, look, these companies thinking about doing something green, don't think about it, do it, because sooner or later the decision is going to be forced upon you, and at least make it part of your own strategy as soon as you can.
Yeah, until it is part of the policy, every employee of the company will not follow it. And unless everybody actually supports that policy, it's not going to happen. 1 or 2% can't make a change. I mean, it is a droplet, but it's not the change we want to see. It will be too long to achieve that. And we should be proud of the younger generation. They are actually very conscious and aware about it. We must appreciate and be thankful they are actually creating a lot of, and they're consciously looking into those things where environment is actually comes to concern, which previous generation did not think much about it, which is good. The future is actually in a good hand, isn't it?
I feel very excited for the future generations. The new kids coming through today, they're full of ideas, they're full of passion, they're committed to a green world and, making sustainable choices. So, I think there's a lot of positivity and, there's so much incredible new science and new technology that's coming on board. So we have to embrace it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for your insight and thank you for joining in. I'm sure there will be a lot of information people will gather from here and all your details will be given on the description. If people wants to reach out to you, I know you are active on social media and all, people can actually actively reach out to you and you will be very responsive. Yeah. I got a very quick response. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's absolutely. Our hashtag is DGRADE clothing. So people can find us on all of the regular social platforms or just Emma at DGRADE is my email. So of course, just email me.
Sure. And all the details, if anybody can't make a note, the details I've given, please reach out to her and we should change the globe. This is what the aim is before it is too spoiled. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done it. To know more about us, visit www.corporality.global. And also you can find more about Priya Mishra is on priya.sydney.